You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking. It's always looking for and finding the good in abundance, good overflowing today, because you've tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the joy of living, because you know that on this particular podcast, we speak about the three fundamentals of life, and by following and using these three fundamentals, you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? And you're going to find our amazing guest. I call him Double D because he is dynamic, and together we become a duo. And you'll be able to listen to Daniel in just a few minutes and really touch upon something that is going to energize and transform your very being. Well, that's why you tuned in. And by the hundreds of thousands, right now, I'm speaking to you because you have made the conscious decision to listen. And the reason you did is because you care the most in the entire world about you, which is great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, you create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. But I want you to know that at this very moment, you are joined by 348,613 people around the world who have chosen to listen to the joy of living, because again, you know that you're going to be healthier, happier, and wealthier. And we want to talk about the three fundamentals of life to set the stage. So the three fundamentals are: number one, life. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, the number two happens. Now, in this case, good number two, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday living. Simple example, everyday words, simple example. This show is carried over the internet. Now, if you ask anybody, what does www stand for? They'll say it has to do with the internet. Now, factually speaking, they're correct. But in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? WHATA. And of course, we have to thank wonderful Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, for enabling that song, What a Wonderful World, to go viral and not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet and know that song. And whenever you hear the opening bars of that song, What a Wonderful World, what do you do right away? You can't help but to smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you could ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Seeing miracles in life every day. I've got to tell you, it's such a delight being back and speaking with audiences again, real people, no mask, and hugging and spreading the energy and sharing it. It's just absolutely fabulous. And my most recent gig was, we had 1,176 people in the audience. And it was fabulous. I'm telling the story about Barry Shore, and I'm talking about smile and seeing miracles in life every day. And some people raise their hands and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours, right? I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water to drink, you have food to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. What's the proof? Simple as proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching, you're listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full. So imagine the following. Standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, that's me. And in the evening, being in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed. It's called being a quadriplegic. From my neck down, nothing moved. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes in a matter of hours. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't turn over by myself. 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand, but I can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of that one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. By the way, what happened to me is not from an automobile accident. It's not a spinal injury. It's a rare disease which I never heard of the day before. And I became completely paralyzed. I got to tell you a great story. A few weeks ago, my 8-year-old niece comes over to me and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She said, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of babes, an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. That's what we're going to be working with Daniel today. Rethinking. It's called shift perspective. Now, I've worked with, thank God, many tens of thousands of people over the past few decades. And I can tell you, 97.2% of all people, when I talk about shift perspective, for some reason they drop the F and shift, and the other stuff happens. You got to be effing careful about your F's. Shift perspective. And then you can literally alter your life. Because here's the 6 most important words you can ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life. These 6 words make a difference. Ready? Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation. Now, I do want to warn everybody, the new listeners, by the time Daniel comes on, we'll probably be about 370,000 people, because you're always urging your friends and family to come, and I appreciate it very much. And whatever you want to know, by the way, about today's guest, and it's really something you want to know, just go to my website, www.whatawonderfulworld.barryshore.com. That's it. Everything about Daniel will be there, and about me too, but mostly about Daniel. So I want to urge everybody, I want to warn you in advance, I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word. The reason I do is because it's fun and for the shock value. But the 4-letter words, of course, that we use, because we live in the world of positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, grow, free, gift, pray, play, swim, work. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, yes. FU, capital N, capital N. So after the show, now I know people are raising their hands right now or thinking, come on, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Fun is spelled FU, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and friends, point your finger and say, FU, everybody. But remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. Say, where'd you get that? I said, I listened to Barry Shore in the Joy of Living podcast, and he wants to teach the world to FU. So just before we bring on Daniel, I want to share with you the greatest possible gift I could give for you right now. And that is to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. If you use these 2 words, you will make a difference for you, your family, your friends, and all living beings. And these 2 words are, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and network kindness. To harmonize and network kindness. The Dalai Lama is quoted as saying, I read in his writings, be kind whenever possible. And he says, it's always possible. So imagine you walk into a coffee shop, order your fancy latte, you sit down, someone brings it to you, you say, thank you. You walk in the coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, a couple of minutes go by, nobody brings it. You go to the counter and say, I'm sorry, we forgot, we're busy, we'll bring it to you. Sit down, a couple of minutes go by, somebody brings it, you still say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop and it's raining out. Somebody holds the door open for you. You say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining out, somebody slams the door on you. You say, thank you. You're in traffic, somebody cut you off. You say, thank you. Get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe and it hurts. You say, thank you. To harmonize and network kindness. Kind is a wonderful word that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody right now that I want to share with you that inspires noble deeds more than a wonderful, amazing Daniel. Daniel, please say hello to 378,622 people around the world.
Hello, everybody.
That's
Barry, it was an amazing intro.
because he's British. Hello, everybody. He really is. And he's in Britain right now. And I'm in a place called Henderson, Nevada. And again, that's the genius of what we have in life right now. There is no more geography. We are all one together. So anybody who thinks of that word ALONE, you're mispronouncing it. It's really pronounced all one. Well, that introduction, let's just jump right in, Daniel. If I start reading to all the wonderful things about Daniel and his CV and so I've taken the rest of the show. So I'm just going to tell you that he is the master, not just an acolyte. He's the master of a process that will benefit you and transform your life. It's called letting go. So Daniel, let's just jump right in. And because you're the master, what is letting go? Why should we listen to you?
Well, letting go, I mean, people have different perceptions of letting go, but ultimately the way I like to view it is that it's actually the ability to stay with your emotions consciously and allow them to run their course. Because most people, when they view letting go, they view it as letting go of something outside of them. However, the key is to understand you cannot truly let go of something outside of you if you haven't let go of the emotional energy within you. So if you're still attached to the thing outside of you, even if you sort of let it go externally, you haven't really truly let it go. So what I help people do is to get in touch with these feelings so that they can dissolve and they'll be no longer limited by them. Does that make sense? And that's the simplest explanation.
Okay, let's go unpack and go deeper. So I'm going to challenge you and say, hey, Daniel, yeah, sounds good. That sounds too fluffy to me. That sounds too material. Can you give us concrete situation, maybe in your own life, or what it means to let go?
Okay.
Come on, letting go. What is that? I don't hate you anymore, because that's usually what people associate letting go with, negative feelings. How does that really happen?
Okay, so we all carry these charges within us, these emotions, because when we're young, we're not allowed to release these charges. We're told don't get angry, don't get upset, especially if you're a man. Then you're told don't cry, and so rather than releasing these feelings, we hold on to them, and then these feelings always want to rise up at some point. They want to come up. And we're giving opportunities in each and every moment to let go. And I'll give you one story where I let go of something. And this was in the middle of the night. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was about 6 years ago. And I had woken up and I was in the middle of a nightmare. And this intense fear was coming up. And usually what I would have done, I would have switched on the light. I would have turned on the radio. I would have done anything to distract myself from this fear because it was like really unpleasant. But this time what I decided is to just sit with the feeling and to sit with it consciously and to watch my body, how it reacts to the fear. And as I made that decision, the feeling got more intense. And at one point, my heart was beating. I, goose pimples. I was sweating profusely. And then I started getting these images. What if I die from this? But then I thought at that point, I was tired of running away from fear because I'd been afraid all my life. And I thought, no, I'm going to face this. And I did. And for the next hour, I let the wave after wave of fear would come and go and come and go. And as I stayed with it consciously, being careful not to resist it or push it away, these waves would come and they would dissolve. and this would happen and happen continuously for about an hour. And then after about an hour, I started getting these memories back from when I was about 9 years of age. And I used to live in this hospital. Well, next to this hospital, my dad was a psychiatrist, and I experienced some sort of fearful incidents in that hospital. I remember coming out from my bedroom, running to the kitchen where my mum and sister was, saying, "There's someone in my room. There's someone in my room." And they came rushing to my room, and they were like, "There's no one there." And I later found out that this hospital was meant to be the most haunted hospital in the UK. Yeah, and by
the way, not just a regular place. It was the most.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I later, searching online 20 years ago, it was called Graylingwell Mental Asylum, and I had experienced this intense fear at that point. And when I had this nightmare, like, what was it, probably about 40 years later, 35 years later, this fear started coming up, and then I started getting these memories, and I started getting the memories, the fear gets even more intense. Then another about 45 minutes staying with it, fear consciously, all of it dissolves, and I fall asleep.
So first of all, I'm leaning in. I'm fascinated. I'm sure people around the world are listening and leaning and saying, "Okay, I'm imagining a dragon or whatever it is." But the point is, what you've given us here, the point of the sword or the spear, as it were, is that there was fear inside, deep fear that was causing sweat, heartbeat, pushing you to the edge of life. And instead of running away, as you said, anymore, tired of running away, great line, you decided not to fight, but to be. I'm saying these words. That's how I'm unpacking. You said, I'm going to just be me. And what happened? You used the word 5 times. I wrote it down. Things began to dissolve, dissolve, dissolve. And in the course of an hour, Daniel, you went from being afraid to being consciously aware. Isn't that correct?
I was still afraid. So even whilst I was doing the fear was still surfacing, but then it would come in waves. So it would dissolve and then it would rise up again.
Yeah, it was trying, but every time it did it, like waves coming in.
Yeah.
But less and less and less and less until they were just the seashore.
Yeah. Until the memory started coming back, and then the fear intensified. And then once the memories, the fear dissolved, then I fell asleep. And when I wake up the next day, I go to my work. I ran an IT company at the time, and I had the best day at work that I had in probably since I started my business.
Wait a minute, I want to unpack this again, because this is so enlivening. You went through the fear, you consciously let it be, not fighting.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't St. George slaying the dragon, but it was. But he didn't use a sword. He used his consciousness to dissolve. You went to sleep in a different mode, and as you awoke the next morning, you were literally a different being, a new being, and you had the energy that you hadn't experienced in decades. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, it was that. Yeah, that shift in energy was huge.
You hear that? Again, it's everybody about shift. You got to be careful when you pronounce the word shift. Keep that F in there.
Yeah. So the shift in energy was huge, because when we suppress an emotion, we use energy to push it down. And so when the emotion is suppressed, the energy of the emotion isn't available to us, but also the energy we push it down isn't available to us, because an emotion constantly wants to spring up like a balloon held underwater. We keep pushing it down, and we use energy to do that. So when we release it, the energy of the emotion is given back to us, plus the energy we use to push it down. Yeah. So we get two lots of energy back to us to do with whatever we want to. So when I went back to work the next day, I had this huge amount of energy. But not only that, I noticed the fear over the next 3 months. I noticed the fear in every aspect of my life had gone down. So some of the fears I'd carried for many years, the fear in making sort of concrete business decisions, my fear in public speaking, my fear in even swimming. I had a fear in swimming that I didn't even know existed. But it was only when I went back into the pool that I realized I felt different. And then I saw that I was actually afraid. I was just not consciously aware of that fear until I released it. And what happened as well is I saw that everyone carries fear at some level, and we're all carrying it pretty much all the time. We're just unaware that we are. And then I could see what fears people were carrying, even though they couldn't really see it themselves sometimes.
So let's look at this. You mentioned two wonderful words, which I work with a lot as well, working with people. That is fear and awareness. First of all, I love this reality that you shared with us, that when you consciously confront something, in this case, the fear, there are two types of energy, and you get them back. The one is the repressive energy, and one is the beneficial energy. You now have both because you don't need to push down the fear anymore. So I want to just share with everybody the famous acronym for fear: false expectations appearing real, but they're false. But we have fear. I'm going to talk also about something, because we talk about energy. Everybody in the world, practically, I think, knows the famous equation, E equals MC squared, right? So everybody knows it, but there's only about 3 people on the planet today that can actually do the mathematical equations that go behind it. But that was Einstein's great revelation and gift to the world, almost as big as the gift of fire, right? So what does it mean? You just gave us the gift of E equals MC squared, because you said it's energy. Now, in E equals MC squared, it's energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. But you just told us that energy now equals double processing and enables awareness to rise up, and therefore being able not only to face new fears, but recognize that you overcome them. This is so wonderful. This is a release. Everybody wants relief in world, Daniel, right? Relief.
Yeah, ultimately, yes. I mean, we all want to be able to let go of stuff that we're carrying. And what we've done is we've pushed it down so we don't have to look at it. So, we don't even know it exists. Most people, when you ask them, what are you carrying? They're not really aware of what they've pushed down. So what happens is life has to bring us people and circumstances that trigger those emotions, so that they come from the unconscious realm to the conscious realm. And when they're conscious, we can let go of them. But when they're hidden, we don't even know they're there. So how can we let go of them?
So again, this is just to be graphic. That's the iceberg. Everybody knows the graphic of the iceberg. There's 10% of it above the waterline, which can sink the Titanic. And then there's 90% of it below the waterline, and that's us. The 90% is the subconscious, the unconscious, and it's there if you can utilize, which anybody can, by the way. It's not as if you need to be a special person. You don't have to be a guru. You don't have to go away for 10 years and to monasteries. This is available now. As a matter of fact, Daniel, again, you go to my website, barryshaw.com, it's everything about it. Daniel calls it clear the path. Hello?
Yeah.
It can't be a better explanation in 3 words. Clear the path. Isn't that wonderful? That's what letting go is about. Daniel, we love you. Let's talk about this same process of utilizing the clearing of the path, as you mentioned, or I mentioned, but that's your website and everything about it. And the 4 levels on there, the level of awareness, acceptance, allowing, and then release. And as I said, everybody wants relief. People do it oftentimes, by the way, with things that don't give them relief, but because they're temporary. And those are, of course, famous: alcohol, drugs, sexual,
looking at the phone, everything.
the phone. They're all based on addiction. Now, by the way,
Sugar.
I'm an addict. I'm telling everybody, I'm an addict. I'm addicted to goodness. Okay, that's my addiction. I love it because it brings release. Everybody's been through what Daniel's describing, by the way. Nobody's immune, and everybody wants it. Isn't that wonderful, Daniel? Nobody's immune. Everybody wants it. Let's use this into talking about how does letting go become a better parent, because God willing, everybody would have children, or at least a child with children. How does it help becoming a better parent and put the same go sideways, because that's going one way, so becoming a better partner in life to someone that you've committed to?
Okay, good question. So ultimately, life brings us situations and people that trigger us. So, your children, as I'm sure you're aware, they trigger us sometimes, yeah, and our parents.
Daily. That's the good news.
Exactly.
That's the good news.
Yes, and because each one of those triggers is a gift, it's showing you what is hidden within you. So when you're, let's say you ask your children to do something and they don't do it, the first question you have to ask yourself, what comes up within me? Is it frustration? Is it annoyance? What comes up within me? So the very triggered emotion that comes up is the gateway to the solution of a problem. Okay. So
I want to just pause you for a moment, because this is not just great. This is fun. F-U, everybody. Capital N, capital N. Life brings you situations. It's a gift. You said that word, right? Gift. So gift is a wonderful 4-letter word in our joy vocabulary that stands for godly inspiration, facilitating transformation. Because that's what you're talking about. The gift is there for you to use to help transform you into the best being that you could ever be. It's all about you, not about Daniel, not about Barry. It's about you being the best you. So life brings you these triggers, and what better way to be triggered than by being a parent to a child, which obviously you love. Love is a 4-letter word, right?
yeah,
Living and vibrant energy. So you're right. These are triggers. These are gifts. So let's continue the process. And as you say, something's happening, and you're asking, frustration.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you get triggered. You ask your child or your partner to do something, they don't do it, or they do something that you don't like. So the emotions that get triggered are the gateway to the solution of a challenge that has come.
Transformation.
Yeah. So when the emotions arise, now they're conscious. Now they can be felt, and when they're felt to a point of completion, again, they start to dissolve. Once you feel them consciously, you're feeling perhaps anger, and you're seeing what's underneath that, and then you start to discover what's underneath that, and that starts to dissolve. Now, all of a sudden, your vision about the situation becomes more and more clear. So because the emotion is actually obscuring your vision. So anger, frustration, sadness, annoyance, confusion, all obscures your vision of that situation, of that person. And once you let go of emotion, you're no longer, your vision isn't obscured. You see things as they are. You see the child as they are. You see the partner as you are. But as long as you're stuck in that emotional charge, you're not seeing the truth of that situation. You're not seeing it as it is. So you have to firstly drop blame, drop the projection, because if you blame, you're stuck in the story. Drop the blame and just understand this is your feeling, not theirs. Didn't come from them. It was always within you. They just came along to help you release it. They gave you the gift, to help you let it go. And when you made that choice not to blame, you allowed that feeling to run to that point of completion. And when it dissolved, or when it dissolves, now all of a sudden you have a new perspective. That shift. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, say, and lots of dollars too. So shift, keep the F in there. And Daniel just gave, of course, the insight into one of the 11 strategies in my best-selling book, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy. One of the 11 strategies is don't complain and don't blame. And we'll be right back with more Daniel. Everybody buckle up, because we got more of this just after this brief message from sponsors that love us. So we urge everybody to use them. And we're back just in a couple of minutes. Don't go away. There's more Daniel and more Barry and joy on the other side of this.
Imagine the kind of place you would want to shop for your favorite fur baby pet. HonestPets.co. Well, you found it. HonestPets.co. Not .com, .co. This is your go-to spot for the best, the cleanest pet treats that exist anywhere on the planet. All of the brands go through a rigorous review to make sure they meet the high standards of cleanliness, health benefits, and naturalness. This site was started by a husband and wife team, and it's veteran owned, and that care about pets, especially dogs and cats, and coming soon, bird treats. These are very nice young people who really care about making a difference, because a portion of proceeds go to support veteran organizations with a focus on service dogs. This is the place where you want to go. You want to tell your friends this has the finest, yummiest, freshest, all-natural treats and stuff for your fur baby. So go there, honestpets.co. honestpets.co. Do it now. Opportunity. What an opportunity. I'm going to use 2 4-letter words right now. Free gift. Free gift. Yes, you can have a copy of my best-selling book, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy, the ebook version, for absolutely free. All you have to do is send an email to me, Barry, Barry, at barryshore.com, and in the heading, the subject line, just write free gift. It's as easy as that. This is a life-changing, life-enhancing opportunity. Barry at barryshore.com. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Free gift. Do it now. Take the action. Make it happen right now. Best wishes. Bye.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. It's a human being, double D. Daniel sharing with us how to clear the path, how to see clearly, and we just started on another interesting place where we're talking about how to be a better parent, how to be a better partner by letting go. And he mentioned the key word, and it's just a critical key word: blame. Don't blame. I'm going to just give some information because I've been fascinated by this for many years, actually decades. In this particular, it's called the N word, Daniel. I like the N word. I use it a lot. But the N word, of course, that I use is 2 letters, N-O, no. I've done research, and to me it's astounding, and I'm just going to tell you what the research says, and I'm going to have you respond, because it's difficult for the words to come out of my mouth. But the research says that a child, by the time they're 5 years old, has heard the word no over 430,000 times. In the first 2 or 3 years, again, from after birth, for the first 2 or 3 years, a child hears the word no 400 times a day. Now, I don't want to believe the research. So I'm saying, it's like, let's go to half, 200 times a day. Forget that. I don't like that. 100 times a day. That's crazy. What about even 40 times? In other words, 10% of what the research says. But just think about it. A child is raised with the word no 10 times a day for the first few years of life. Excuse me, is that a way of clearing the path? I would say no. I want to hear from you about how does letting go work in business, in work, when people have been raised, unfortunately, in this world of NO, which, by the way, when I teach my classes, I teach people to do it this way. Whenever you hear the word no, I want you to surround it with a K in the beginning and a W at the end. So the word still is pronounced no, but it's surrounded by K, kindness, and W, wisdom. So whenever you hear the word no, when you work with Daniel and Barry, it now becomes KNOW, and it's the gift that you've talked about. So how does letting go benefit you, your business, and the people you work with?
So, in much the same way that I talked about earlier, because we all have challenges. In business, you have challenges all the time, right? You know this yourself. You ran several businesses. So the way you would use letting go is that whenever you are triggered by a situation in business, let's say, for example, you have a challenge, or you're not sure where to take your business, which path to go on, there is perhaps a feeling of confusion or uncertainty. That feeling of confusion is a block. The uncertainty is a block. And by allowing and going into that feeling of confusion, allowing it to run its course, it starts to dissolve. It starts to be released. And what comes when confusion is released? Clarity. So, so you may find that underneath the confusion or uncertainty is fear. So that will need to be processed. So when confusion comes, there may be a fear about, if I go this way, this will happen, or if I go this way, that might happen. So you're sitting with the fear, the confusion, on whatever feelings are underneath all of this, and allowing them to run their course. And when that happens, the insight, the intuition about where to go in your business is given to you. Yeah. But as long as the feelings exist, they will exist out as blocks to insight, to intuition. So you won't be certain about which path to take. Yes, you can do, the work on the outside, but it's more powerful to do with the inner work, because you're working at the root cause of your life experience, of the block in your business. And this happens whether it's deciding what to do with a project, where to take the business, or it happens if, for example, there's a difficult boss and they're being challenging and it's bringing up emotions in you. Yes.
So let's unpack some subject, because you've given us enough for a lifetime, which is, of course, the reason I'm introducing you to wonderful Daniel. Go to the website, barryshaw.com, and look at what he offers. It is tremendous. It is transformational. I just want to urge everybody to understand the following. Information is readily available anywhere on the internet. I call it IO, information overload, right? It's just, that's information. What everybody is really looking for, Daniel, is transformation. That's what we're talking about now. To move from confusion, uncertainty, doubt, and watch it dissolve, because you've used that word many, many times. It dissolves. You have clarity. And when you have clarity, you are given a gift. You're given the gift of where to go. And it's there.
And it's always trying to get to us.
Sorry, say again?
It's always trying to get to us, but we're just blocking it.
Wait a minute. Do you hear this, everybody? It's always trying to get. The universe is conspiring for your benefit. This is something that we speak about in the Joy of Living podcast very often. The universe is conspiring for your benefit. It's trying to give you. The only block is who? You. When you recognize that you are at one and the same time the channel, what I call a cog, the channel of goodness, a child of God, when you recognize that you are the channel, but you're clogged. And once you unclog the drain, much like, the toilet, let's go right to the heart of things that everybody knows. You have a clogged toilet. First of all, it doesn't look good, doesn't smell good. It's there. You can't get rid of it. You have to use the plunger, or even call a plumber. But the point is, when you plunge or you use the plumber, you're unclogging the twin channels of giving and receiving. And as Daniel says so elegantly, it's given to you because it wants to, it's trying to. It's tapping you on the shoulder and say, hello, I love you. I want to help. Right? Is that what happens, Daniel? I love you. I want to help.
Yeah, ultimately, life is always trying to help you, even in the most challenging of circumstances. There's always that gift. The famous every cloud has a silver lining, and this is especially apparent with letting go.
So let's go even deeper still and talk about the 4 pathways that you mentioned on your site and what you do in your work. And again, they are the first one. Let's take the first one, just because it's, you do all 4, people lose. Let's just work on the first one for the next few minutes. And that is gaining awareness, and the corresponding process, as you would say, is accepting responsibility. 100% accepting responsibility. So let's bring us closer to this first step of gaining awareness and assuming responsibility.
Okay, so when you first have that awareness of a feeling, a charge, most people will view the responsibility of a charge as something that happened outside of them. So something is responsible for that charge. But as soon as you do that, you've lost all your power. You've given away your power to come up with a solution. Because if someone else is responsible for how you feel, then they must change in order for you to feel better, right?
Right. It's your fault. You.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if that's where you are, okay, that's fine. That's all right. That's where you are. But if you want to be able to have power over your life, and to be able to change the circumstances, you have to take responsibility for the feeling that arises. This is my feeling. This has been stored with me for a long time, however many years. And this event, this person is only coming into my experience to help me release it, to help me let it go.
By the way, even though the mindset at that moment is, that person, and now, like you say, all right, together we say, shift perspective and recognizing that person is there to help me. Yes. Is it painful? Maybe.
Yeah, and you may not want to do that. You may not be ready to do that, and that's okay.
It's okay unless you want to have power over your own life. In other words, do you want to wallow in despair? Do you want to continue living in such a way that you wake up in the morning or wake up in the morning saying, and have, as Daniel said, on that revelatory day, the best day you ever had at work and business? In other words, you were free. Again, a 4-letter word. We love 4-letter words. You were free from those terrible binding situations, and they dissolved. I love this dissolved aspect of seeing things dissolve, not slain on the ground, bleeding and done and over, but dissolve is gentle. It's like bubbles.
Yeah.
Use bubbles.
That's exactly it. In ancient Taoism, there was 2 methods of transformation. One is like the fire branch, and that's a more dynamic method of reprogramming your mind, visualizations, affirmations. And then there was the water branch. That's seeing what exists and letting it go. And that's a more gentle method. And you hit the nail on the head there.
So, and I am a water being, for several reasons, number one. One is because we know scientifically that the human body is 79% water. So water we are that element. And as I've mentioned many times on the podcast and other things, I was paralyzed for years.
Mm.
Now, people will watch and say, well, gee, Barry, so you're moving your arms and everything up. I can't get up from this chair right now because I'm still paralyzed basically from the waist down. But in the process of regaining some of my abilities, like being vertical and ambulatory with my 7-foot walking wand, I was involved with aquatic therapy for many years. They put me in a pool, moved me around, things like that. And through that process, I was able to move my arms over my head and basically do a backstroke. And one day I did a backstroke and I hit my head on the edge of the pool and I said, wow, this is wonderful, I'm moving. And I kept doing it for 98 minutes. I swam a mile without stopping. It took me 98 minutes. I'm going to fast forward to say I now swim 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. I've been doing it for 14 years. I have over 8,847 miles under my belt, more than a third of the way around the world. So I am water. Now, just as a footnote, I was not a swimmer before I became paralyzed. I knew how to swim, but to swim a length of the pool, not for me, thank you. Too hard. But now I'm a swimmer. I use a snorkel, I use paddles, I have devices. But that's what Daniel's talking about. Devices. When you use the processes that he describes, then you clear the path, which is his website. You wait till you see it. You go to my website, you see all this stuff. It's great. And you get clarity. There's nothing more fun. I'm saying to you, Daniel, F you, capital N. So we only have a few more minutes. Let's dive just a little bit deeper. I don't want to go to the place, even though we might do another time, that your dad was a psychiatrist. You're not, but in essence, you are. In other words, what we're doing here is using, in my humble opinion, the combination of what we'll call, for want of a better term, Western orientation, Eastern orientation, the W and the E, to create the we, so that we now have the processes of finding the elements that now enable us to let go. And when you let go, I'm saying this, you'd be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? So I need to ask you 3 quick questions, Daniel. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Definitely.
Woo! Thank you. Number 2, you only have 80 seconds to answer this question. You ready?
Okay.
What is your most fervent desire?
To have no desire.
That's too Buddhist.
Sorry.
Fine.
Ultimately, to be happy with no taint of sorrow.
To be happy with no
taint of sorrow. To be completely happy.
Thank you. To be pure on the path and live in joy, happiness, peace,
and love.
And love all the time. Good. And now the third thing is, may I give you a hug in front of 379,822 people around the world? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Thank you. From Daniel and Barry, the joy of living. You've tuned in consciously and conscientiously, and because we discussed the 3 fundamentals of life. Number 1, life has purpose. As you've heard today, it's so wonderful to let go. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. You'll go MAD. MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. And the 3rd fundamental of life is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms like WWW. What a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old D says, seeing miracles in everyday life. And when you do this, you're happier, healthier, and wealthier. And then you create the kind of world you want to live in. Create stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel, as Daniel has been guiding us on the path of rethinking. And internalize the 6 most important words you could ever utilize in your life, which are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Use 4-letter words in your life: love, life, hope, free, gift, work, play, pray, swim, and tell the world to F you. Capital N, capital N. Remember, we have a smile on your face and a twinkle in your eye when we do that. And we urge you to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously. And they are, thank you, thank you, thank you. A dear thank you to wonderful Daniel. And Daniel and I are urging everybody, we gave you a hug and we give you a blessing. The blessing is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Daniel, don't go away, okay?
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.